Point out there was a brilliant episode of the Twilight Zone with the invasion. They used Martians, and so they cast some doubt among the people, and they start killing each other. And they have this discussion: does this work everywhere? Do you ever have to kill? No, they do it on their own. But yeah, some have said, that I've been inconsistent because I do engage the political system. I don't do it with voting, but I do it where people are going into court or they're dealing with bureaucratic attacks. And to me, I see it as a lot more effective because when somebody goes in, somebody might be a real skeptic. Well, why would a prosecutor just withdraw the charges because I asked, is there evidence of a complaining party? Well, there's a lot behind that question. You can't answer it without getting into a real pile of crap. I mean, you just know. And to see it, like I was saying to someone outside the room today, to actually watch a prosecutor in front of all those people withdraw very serious charges that they have against somebody, like drug charges, you have to see that to believe it. Most people won't believe it until they actually do it. So going in with a family member, let's say they take a script or we've done some consultation or whatnot, to go in and actually engage the people in the lion's den, so to speak, like you've done, people see that and they take a lot away from that. And they go and they tell their friends and family. So yes, it is engaged in a political process, but your damage control, you're trying to limit the damage. It's that or you roll over.
When I say engaging in the political process, I mean specifically the standard things, the standard issue things that you're told you should do, like voting and running campaigns and holding signs, or petitioning to your representatives and these sort of standard things. What you're doing is you're taking a look at their system and you're using it, you're kind of plugging yourself into it, and you're doing things that are unusual. You're doing things that you can do, but most people don't know. It's like, I think it was part of your book where it says, when you get your traffic ticket, it says on the back, well, you could do this, this, or this. But maybe it's not your book. But anyway, but you can do other things.
Yeah,
you're
right.
Other things than what they're telling you that you can do.
Right.
Well, you aim to reduce violence, not control violence, which is the political solution, right? That we're trying to control and manage this violent system. You're just trying to get people out from under it. Which
that's
is like,
true.
that's
when they initiate,
sinlessness thing, right? Yeah, when they initiate, you're a self-defense advocate for people to get out of that line of fire, rather than going into the belly of the beast and trying to make it move its little Tyrannosaurus arms to do what you want.
Yeah, and some of the benefits that there has been, and I know this is very tiny in the overall scheme of things, but you hit on about lowering the violence. There have been 10, 12, or 15 cops that I've had personal contact with that have left the job. They have left the job. Now, there's Tom, Dick, and Harry to fill that, but that's somebody where he's not in a vacuum, he's got a family. There's a reason why he left the job, and he's probably going to be telling them. His wife is probably a lot happier, so there are ripple effects. And, so that's why, when I get orders from Ireland or New Zealand or whatnot, it's encouraging that the word is getting out and people are getting it, and they're taking on their own a big risk, like Sam in New Zealand going into court. That's a big step. That takes a lot more guts to go into, like what you did, to go into court and actually stare them down.
Yeah.
But more people are doing it.
What's really going to be important is that when people keep doing these things, and if more people do them, that we have the ability to document it. So taking that kind of activism, which I think is awesome, and combining it with the media that I was talking about before. Because if somebody walks into a courtroom and does what you're talking about and really takes an outside the box perspective and gives a judge something unusual, it doesn't do anything if he's the only person in the handful of people that are in there. But if you've got a camera in there and you upload that to YouTube, then you can show people this is for real. What Marc says is true. Of course, we've been trying to do that in Keene, and now they're cracking down on cameras in the court. But that's going to result in, and this is all about tying all this activism together. So they crack down on cameras in the court. Well, these activists aren't stopped by that. There are going to be 5 cameras in the court next time.
Yeah, it's really changing their behavior. What was the court last week? We had a guy who didn't take his hat off fast enough going into the courtroom, so they arrested him. Somebody else asked, hey, what's going on? And he got thrown against the wall and arms pinned behind his back. He's crying in pain. They go back, and when the judge came in, they didn't call all rise because the Free Staters don't stand for the judges here typically. So they're specifically not doing that. In the order in the Keene court where they're cracking down on the media, it specifically says you may not film anyone in the audience. And I think, again, they don't want people seeing it, because they also said you cannot start recording until the judge takes his seat. So they don't want people to see, they don't want the sheep out there to see anyone challenging the authority of the state. And I think that's such a key component to the change that's going to come about.
Yeah, well, I wanted to mention, I agree, because one of the things that's so effective about the court stuff is because you're not initially challenging someone's belief, having someone cry and ripping everything out. You're going based on what you've already been told. This is the greatest system of justice in the world. Why? Okay, and now, so I take the reasons why, the presumption of innocence, and then I break that down, and then we just use that against them. Asking questions.
You step into their paradigm while still holding on to your context.
Right. I'm starting here in legal land, in fiction, but I'm leading you here to, objective reality. Something that's based on tangible proof. And for some, like this morning, it's a very painful ride. For judges, typically, I'll say a lot of judges respond very emotionally because you are upsetting their view of reality. Their map of the world is just being shredded. But that's the point of why I do that. But you take it from somewhere where they're familiar and you bring them there. And it's a very effective, and when people watch that, because people have done this in court by asking 2 or 3 questions, the judge flips out screaming and yelling and maybe a nosebleed or two, and then the case is thrown out, or the ticket rather, and the people will follow you out. And they want to know
what strange magic just happened.
Absolutely.
All you did was ask for evidence. Why did he start screaming? Why would he throw the case out? And so you have this opportunity because they saw it firsthand. They saw the guy with the robe who's supposed to be the honorable professional one. You asked 2 or 3 innocent questions, and all of a sudden this calm, rational, otherwise professional man is screaming. So he is doing a lot more to destroy their map of the world than I am at that point. He's doing the work for me.
System as it stands can't be repaired. And I think we know that because of the stimulus package.
Yes.
Because this massive, completely fictional, $1 trillion plus monopoly money cloudburst.
Essentially a way for them to take all.
Oh yeah, they know that it's like you all stay. We're just going to go check on the lifeboats. You all stay there playing your canasta. You're fine.
Right? Lock the cage, by the way.
Right. Yeah. So if there had been no stimulus package, then I would have given it another 5-10 years. But with the stimulus package, and again, I've heard this from a friend of mine who's Russian, who said that this is what happened in the late 80s when they recognized that they would not be able to last within their careers because of the deteriorating economic situation. And there's a room somewhere with real government statistics that some people have access to, right? Like the fact that if they calculated the unemployment rate now, the way they did in, say, 1975, it would be almost 17% as opposed to 6 or 7, right?
Wow.
And that's just one, right? So they have real knowledge about the outstanding liabilities to foreign governments, the interest rate payments, the amount of money they've got relative to whatever assets they have. So they know, and I think that they know for sure that it's not going to outlast the careers of senior bureaucrats right now. So there's a massive plunder. Like it's like the door to the treasure room is coming down. So just stuff your pockets and go. Leave your hat behind.
Smash and grab.
Right. So I think that the stimulus package, which interestingly did not come from the citizens. Right, because
they spoke out.
They spoke out massively.
There are no citizens.
From the masses, right? There was the stimulus package is very much a top-down, imposed against the will of the majority, which to me is also very instructive because I did a video series recently called "Statism is Dead," and it comes out of working on this stuff for 25 years, knowing how consistently people would argue back in 1980. For statist solutions, for everything, right? Because the worm had not turned yet, right? The disastrous, at the beginning, statism is great, because, like in the same way, if you just start ordering stuff on credit cards, you look wealthy, right? It's like at the beginning, it all looks great. It's like heroin, yay, But now you simply don't see any kind of mass call for a government solution. And that to me is very interesting because it seems to me that the masses don't believe that the government can solve problems anymore, but there is a vacuum. Which is, and then what, right?
Yeah.
Like if we can't imagine how the economy can work without slavery, we can say slavery is wrong, but we don't know what else we can do, right? So I think it's up to us to say, yeah, it's evil, and here's the fruits of virtue, which is a happy, voluntary, peaceful, stable, monetary, no war, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, what I've noticed is that the government's doing the same old thing they always have. They came out and they sold this stimulus package by saying, look, We need it to save America. If the automakers go down, it's economic collapse, doom and gloom. You guys, I'm sorry, you don't want us to do this, but it's for your best interest.
Yeah, right.
I think what's changed though is that the internet, people's understanding, something has changed out there to where they don't believe it. They're saying, no, this isn't right. I've heard, A, B, and C to tell me that, no, this doesn't make sense. At the same time, they don't necessarily have the answer, as you say, to a voluntary society, and that's my question. As this existing system begins to collapse and crumble, are people going to clamor for just a slightly different system, the right system of checks and balances, or do you think they'll be ready to evolve into a voluntary society, and what's that going to take?